How's it going, everyone? We're here for a fresh wipe, and this is a big one. A lot of changes, 2 new weapons, and just a bunch of stuff going on. And finally, a huge, big public explanation on anti-cheat and stuff, which is always a huge thing to talk about. But we're going to start off by the monument changes, and the big ones here are going to be with Harbor. So we're going to check out both of them and see what's changed up. So first you'll notice that there's a huge split with the monument now, and it has like a bigger half on the outer side. So what has changed puzzle-wise, this and that? The puzzle itself is actually still intact, sitting exactly where it used to be. So there's nothing that has changed with the puzzle itself. But once we get across over to here, you'll notice there's quite a few differences, especially with this drawbridge going on over here. So there's this big old drawbridge that you can go across, and you'll notice that over here there's just a bunch of new things going on. On the outside, you'll notice there's a chance of tugboat spawns, so you can see there's an actual tugboat here and there. Those are both some places that they can pop out at. And there's now all sorts of buildings to go around. There's new barrels to break. You can climb all the way up and along this whole building, scale it all the way to the top. There's some loot boxes and so forth. Up here, there's 2 zip lines, one on either side. And there is an alternate way of getting across here. You do have the crane. So you can climb up in here. You can go right on up the ladder. Then you gotta jump up on the rail, jump up on here. Then you can jump on across here. Head on down this rope and jump across, climb up this one, and back down this one over here. So that is kind of a creative thing, but the other thing to keep into consideration is when cargo ship docks underneath here, you could jump down onto cargo from these containers as well. But the other thing that happens is there's now these moving containers that will be sitting around in these spots right here where it says cargo drop off, and you can do some kind of tricky little stuff with that, which we'll show you once we get to the other monument where cargo will be docked. Just wanted to show you kind of both small and large harbor. Alright, here it comes, and as you can see, the drawbridge moves up and out of the way. Attaches to this little pillar here. Just kind of wanted to catch that drawbridge action for you. It's going to take a little bit for the ship itself to dock, so we'll bring you right back. Alright, and once it's about docked, you'll notice that the drawbridge closes behind it. It sounds a torn very loudly. Those cranes I spoke about move into place right here. See, see, now you can jump across them. But that's not the only thing. You'll notice that these boxes show up, and you can actually open up these doors and hide inside of here if you want. And then these cranes will actually start to pick them up and load them on. See? Here's that cargo drop-off zone. And there it goes. Moving on. A crate onto cargo. So, yeah, there's some pretty interesting things that people could do with how these crates work, you know? So, very interested to see how that all ends up being. But, in addition to this, it takes, the whole process is about 10 minutes or so, you know, it stays about 8 minutes, and it takes a minute or 2 to, you know, pull in and out. Jokes. But, yeah, that's basics of the new event. I mean, people can go ahead and jump on naked and start wreaking havoc on here. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be crazy to see what people start doing. And I mean, I bet some people will even find a creative way to even drive a vehicle onto here somehow. you know, like a car or something, or get horses on it. Who knows? I don't know. I don't even know if it's possible, but I bet you guys will figure it out. But there it is. It did end up docking over here. So we are going to go and check out the other harbor monument because its layout is a little bit different. All right. So here we are at the other harbor. And just like the other one, the puzzle has stayed exactly the same. Nothing has changed from it there. You still have the little booth right on over here with the green keycard. But of course you now have the drawbridge as well, which opens on up whenever cargo gets here. And you do again have a bunch of changes over here. It looks like there's a bunch of old turrets, all the piled up containers. And the various different locations you can kind of go around here. As you'll see, the zip lines are pretty much only at the other harbor, where this one is pretty much more a bunch of containers and kind of equipment, more or less. But still changed up enough to show off. Alright, in addition to the harbor changes, oil rig. Yep, no, we're not at the moon pool at a underwater labs. We are at oil rig. Oil rig now has its very own moon pool. And when you pop up into here, you'll first notice that there is a room. There doesn't appear to be any kind of scientists in there. You have a single door, and this door goes up to ladders. And these ladders will actually flip back and forth, up one side, then up the other. So you do have kind of some cover as you go up and down, and then you can continue to go up, or you can come out your first door. This is going to bring you right out onto the catwalks right above the dock, or you can continue on up and go all the way up to your red flashing light, which is going to take you all the way out to level 3. So that brings you up pretty high, and you can see this has a marking sub bay. You've got the door there, and then there's multiple exits. You have a door going out that way, you have a door going out this way, and then a third door going out back. There's a little boombox that can be turned on now. And yeah, as you see, it just all comes out to level 3. So that's a pretty big change there. But that's actually not all when it comes to changes for the oil rig. I would say there's a pretty big or heavy change as well. And that change is the heavies, if you didn't get it from my bad joke. You might notice they are rocking some pretty different stuff here. We've got ourselves some miniguns, complete with backpacks. Easy to tell a difference. If they have a pouch like that, they're probably rocking one of the regular heavy weapons and the containers. And then if they have a backpack like this, they definitely rocking the minigun if you don't hear the noise of it spinning up. But the other big change here is not only can the heavies have these two new weapons, the heavy flamer and the minigun, but they can drop said weapons, including all the other weapons that they usually wield, like the spaz and so forth. So that's another way to get some of the heavier weapons, and you get a chance. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kill off all these guys right here, and we're gonna take a look and see if any of them drop their stuff. And one last thing here before we check their loot, I just want you guys to see the range on the military flamer, okay? It's insane. So be very, very careful, guys, okay? Alright, so it looks like out of all the scientists that died, none of the heavies dropped anything. Weapon-wise, but it's gonna be one of those things where it, like, if you read in the dev blog, it says it's a very, very low % chance. So let's go ahead and check out the Bradley Patrol real quick, and then after that we'll check out the actual flamethrower and minigun. Alright, and one of the other new things being added in this month is the Bradley Patrol. So the Bradley has seen some buffs and changes here and there, and one of the things is once you bring it to about half health, or at least below 500 it seems HP, it will pop out a group of scientists in a cloud of smoke to come and get you. So let's go ahead and bring down the Bradley. Doing it this way so it's not as loud as last time. Also, bringing the volume down as much as I can on that end, and my voice up as much as I can. Let's go ahead and check its HP. It's about 7, so a couple more rockets here, and it should pop out some friends for us to fight. C6, yep. Brings us, oh, it's still above 5. All right, we got one more rocket to hit there. And did that do it? Oh, maybe not. Maybe it needs to be a little bit lower. There we go. And as you'll see, as the smoke clears, it pumped out 4 scientists. And there they all are, trying to track me and figure it all out. But yeah, there you have it. So it's pretty much once the Bradley kind of catches fire or so, under 500 health, around 500 health, these guys will pop on out and give you a little bit of an extra thing to fight and a lot of extra noise to keep into consideration. Alright, so let's take a look at the new items, and the first thing we have is a tool covered skin. This is the first TC skin, and if you want to check it out kind of a little more in detail, I do show it in the skin video head as well. But basically, to cover its kind of features, as you can see, it shows your upkeep as well as how much time you have left and how many pieces of what you have in the base. So how many doors, how many blocks, how many walls, etc. like that. And yeah, that's actually something that is a bit of a big deal for some people. So yeah, that's also pretty cool. It actually physically shows what is in it down here. So as you see, there's wood and stone. And if we go ahead and actually give ourselves some metal here and put some metal in there, you'll see that there is now also metal boxes. So that's kind of a really neat little additional effect. Also, you can see the screens at night, and you can see your upkeep without having to go inside of the TC. Functional wise though, otherwise it's just the same thing, works the same way, exact same size, nothing changes, it fits exactly where any other TC would. Then we've got our new guns. So we've got the minigun and the military flamethrower. So the minigun, as you'll see here, it's got a damage of 38, accuracy of 2, recoil of 1, fire rate of 600, and a range of 263 meters. It is not craftable, and just like the military flamethrower, it can only be found very, very, very rarely in locked crates or dropped by the actual scientists wielding them. So yeah, but there it is, the minigun. Look at that thing. It is a beast. Now, originally there was a backpack that you could wear to hold ammo. It was just something that was too much, and it just isn't there. Now, it does have a function, so you do have to hold your right click to spin it up. And when you're doing this, you'll notice your movement speed is slowed. See? Not moving. Slowed. Slowed. Once it's spun up, fire. As you can see, it just kind of goes upwards. But I'm hitting reload. It doesn't reload. Well, this, as you'll see the message, can only be reloaded at a level 2 or higher workbench. So once you go into the workbench, you click on it and hit reload, and you'll see that it can hold a total of 300 rounds. But as you can also see, it uses up a lot. Yeah, this thing is loud, it's mean, and it's crazy. And you can put it in a turret. but it's constantly spinning in a turret. So people will have the added benefit of knowing, I mean, it's a pretty loud noise. They'll be able to know, hey, that's a minigun turret if they're close enough to hear. So that's one thing to kind of keep in consideration. Then we'll go ahead and I believe, yep, here it is. That's throwing all sorts of errors, but I'm still on staging branch. But there you go. Minigun turret is a thing. So there you have that one. Next up, we've got the military flamer. This thing is going to be pretty crazy. As you can see, it has really nice design, still kind of cobbled together in the Rust kind of way, but you can definitely tell, you know, it's just a bit of a beat up military weapon, so to say. And yeah, this thing is crazy. First of all, it's one of these things that you can kind of like make a wall of fire. So it's meant to be like a denial of entry, close quarters kind of thing. You don't want people coming through somewhere for a while, boom, use this thing, light the floor. And it does a lot of damage to people. And they've also buffed the regular flamethrower to do more damage to players as well. So it's something to keep in consideration. But the main crazy thing about this is its range. Look at that. This thing goes really, really, really far. I believe officially it is 12 meters. So yeah, this thing is a beast. If you can get yourselves a hold of it, it is crazy, crazy, crazy. So there you have that right there. Then when it comes to repair costs, you'll see the minigun is not repairable. So once you have used up its durability, that is it. But the flamethrower is, with some high qual, low grade, and metal frags. So definitely something to keep into your mind there. Not craftable, not repairable. So that, I think, is making it a lot more rare, and I think balanced it quite a bit. I mean, you can only use regular 5.56. They got rid of the ammo backpack. It's not craftable, it's not repairable, etc. And it's also not just an instant beaming weapon anymore. It got its aim cone and all that kind of stuff as well. So how do you guys feel about the two new super crazy powerful weapons? And do you think you'll be going out of your way to, you know, seek after them, or do you think it's something you'll probably never see, like an M249? Sound off down in the comment section below and let me know how you feel about that. But we're going to cover a few other little things here before we move on. The patrol helicopter is something that has always felt kind of like weak, I would say, and it's just one of those things that's really easy to take down. And they said that's mostly because it had older code. So what they did add is orbital strafing or strafing changes. And what this basically means that, you know, the old strafe was really easy to kind of follow the pattern and so forth. So what they did is they made it to where they will now randomize a bunch of different things, how many rockets, what the drop-off is, its turning speed, and it's a bunch of small stuff, but it should make it feel a little more different is what they're going for, you know, not like the same thing over and over again. They also added a new attack phase in the strafing run. I guess apparently it will turn and begin orbiting your position and plummet us with rockets, which sounds nasty. And this can randomly happen after the strafe, so that's definitely something that sounds quite a bit fun. They've also improved on how it aggroes, so there's new zones feature, I guess, that's been introduced for it, and it's basically if a player is damaging a heli, its zone is updated to create a zone, and I guess how much damage is taken to it specifies the type of zone, and it's going to seek out certain targets based on how much it's been attacked, basically. So, like, it's one of those kind of things that should be kind of more easy to pull it and keep it, I guess, is more of a way to say it. Then there's also no-go zones, so basically a no-go zone is going to be something where if someone tries to encourage a heli somewhere it shouldn't be going, it's going to notice that and not do that. and then that should also, you know, I guess increase PvP is what they're going for. And then they just did some bug fixes and so forth on the helicopter, added a way for servers to control with some new convers of how much damage it can do and what the danger zones are, etc. So it's just kind of a nice little thing to have with the actual patrol helicopter there. But electricity has seen some really good changes as well. But I think what we're gonna do is that noise, even if it's off, it still makes the noise. Another thing to keep in consideration there. Electricity. They've done a ton of changes. So all of the pieces right in front of us here are completely changed, and they basically will no longer drain your battery. And I guess this is what they're saying is they remove power requirements from all logic gates. And a lot of these things were just pulling a lot of extra power and so forth, and they just wanted to make it a little bit easier on us. So as of right now, we're going to go off the official list in case I missed one. Splitter, electrical branch, blocker, root combiner, memory cell, RAN switch, XOR switch, AND switch, OR switch, timer, switch, smart switch, counter, pressure pad up. I forgot that one. We did get the button though. All of those no longer actively take any kind of power from you, which is really awesome. And then any other active components like turrets, sensors, lights, they should be all the same, except there is a change to the ceiling light. As you know, if you look at a ceiling light, it says it takes 2 power, but often it was only taking 1 power. But it would take that 1 power at all times, even if you turned them off and cut the power off to them, they were still going to be draining for some reason. So now they do properly take the 2 power they're supposed to, but they will no longer drain 1 power from you for no reason when they have no power supposed to be going to them. So that is a nice little bug fix. In addition to that, they've fixed a lot of other stuff like electrical branches draining power when it's connected to the branch out. They fixed OR switches using active usage when one of the power sources switched. And then they also fixed unpowered components from draining power, which I mentioned kind of more or less. And then they fixed the auxiliary inputs and outputs from draining power unnecessarily on batteries. So that was also another bug. And they said a lot of that kind of stuff came from this kind of stuff needing to use power and just the complexity of that, from at least what my understanding is. So that's just a really big thing. Then they also did a very cool kind of thing for deploying these. So if we actually go ahead, and I'm just gonna grab Gmod tool and we're gonna pick up these right here. So sometimes it's really hard to kind of get them to line up, and then you can't put certain ones very close to each other or too close, and there's problems. And you'll notice you can get things a lot closer to each other and kind of line them, but if you hold left shift when you're placing one, you'll notice it's lining up to the pattern of the other ones. And yeah, that's just a really nice thing. That's not me doing it, that's just pressing left shift. So really nice little kind of quality of life thing for electricians. And then before we pretty much say goodbye and have a good wipe to you, there are a few other things. Seeds now have a seed bag, I guess, world model. These aren't working, I guess. They're supposed to have, or maybe these are just upside down. They're supposed to have a little picture on them of the seed. Ah, there you go. There it is. Pumpkin seeds. Very cool. And then if we can get to stand up right. Ah, there we go. Potatoes. See? And then also the mushrooms will look like mushrooms when you drop them on the ground. They also get a little bit bigger than what they actually are. But, you know, that's for being able to, you know, visibility's sake. But with that, there's also an additional thing. There's a new Monument CCTV station. So let's go ahead and take a look about that and then talk about anti-cheat. Oh, right. So, yeah, I couldn't actually figure out where these are in any of the monuments. I think maybe because I'm on staging branch that it just wasn't there yet. But here is what the station itself should look like for those CCTV stations inside the monuments. Definitely a nice little thing. Very cool. But the main thing we're here to talk about is going to be anti-cheat. So basically here in the blog, Alistair talks about how they've been working on it and so forth. and how much they're going to be dedicating into it. So over the past couple months, they've slowly eliminated limited information leaks, which I mentioned in one of my previous videos, and it was tied to different things that was being abused, like player health, tool cupboards, and turret authorization lists, and allowing cheaters to gain unfair advantages. Those should be fixed and gone, okay? Then, in continuing efforts to battle cheaters, they've cleaned up a lot of long-standing issues around more information leaks and so forth, meaning cheaters will no longer be able to know where stashes are buried. So that's a very cool thing. Then they're also expanding the support team size over the last year, and they are also going to be having some dedicated staff going directly to just banning and anti-cheat and stuff like that. So they also wanted to mention that they have, in the last month, gone through all these bans, all the reports, etc., January, so forth. They have all those kind of things and data that you can go ahead and check out here in the dev blog itself. So there you have it, everybody. Finally, some more information on anti-cheat and some in-game updates to take care of some long-standing issues is always a very nice thing to hear about. That's going to do it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this update. There's a lot of stuff for hopefully a little bit for everybody. And I hope you have a great fresh wipe. So stay rusty. Thanks for watching.